I've had a request to show my Beach Boys CD collection, so I will go through what I have. It's not an extensive collection. Mostly it's from the 60s and their early 70s stuff. We'll start off with Surfin' Safari, and these are all part of the Twofer collection. So on this one you have Surfin' Safari and also Surfin' USA. These are not the original Twofer collections. These ones I think were put out in the late 90s maybe. And inside the book it's got a reproduction of the back cover. It's got some photographs and liner notes, some track by track stuff. And they have some bonus tracks tacked on to the end. This has got 3 bonus tracks from their earliest sessions. Next one is the Surfer Girl and Shutdown Volume 2. And this is the photograph on the inside of the CD case. Little Deuce Coupe with one of my favorites, All Summer Long. Beach Boys Christmas album. And the Beach Boys concert, and also Live in London. And then definitely one of my favorite Beach Boys albums, The Beach Boys Today, and this has Summer Days and Summer Nights, a great collection. The Beach Boys Party and Stack O' Tracks, which of course was just instrumental tracks, so if you wanted to you could sing along with the music. And then I've got, these are stereo and mono collections. So the first tracks are the album in mono, and then it plays the album in stereo. These have a gatefold that has the original back cover on this side, and then a photograph of the group here. And these have the original Capital Rainbow label. And they did not come with a, well, actually, there's a very brief booklet that came with these, which just has some, sorry for the glare, album track information. This is Shutdown Volume 2. All Summer Long. Today. And the last one of these that I have is Summer Days and Summer Nights. Of course, this is the original CD release of Pet Sounds, which the jewel case just came apart on me. This is what that CD looks like. And then the back of there. And the booklet's got track by track liner notes. It's got a couple of essays. This is the version of Pet Sounds that is in both mono and stereo. And there are some subtle differences between the mono and the stereo mixes. One of which is You Still Believe in Me, the vocal on the mono is double tracked, whereas the version on the stereo is not double tracked. I think I could have that reversed, but that's just one of the subtle differences. And this booklet is very much similar to the booklet that was in the CD I just showed you. So a pretty extensive write-up about the album and pictures and then this was some type of anniversary collection. It's a 2-disc set, and there's the album. The first disc is the album in mono and stereo, and then the second disc is just Pet Sounds, purely instrumentals with no vocals, and then there are some other live recordings from that period of the Pet Sounds album. And then back to the twofers. This is Smiley Smile and Wild Honey. Two great albums. Wild Honey is probably the first post, I guess, I don't know how I want to describe it, but it's essentially, it almost sounds like an album full of demos. It's very underproduced compared to Pet Sounds and even some of the stuff that is on Smiley Smile. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I really enjoy Wild Honey and the albums that came after, which we'll get into. But this, as a matter of fact, is probably my favorite late 60s Beach Boys album. And it's definitely in my top 5. This is a twofer with 2020. Fortunately, Brian Wilson not pictured in the group photograph here, although in the original album Gatefold, there is a large picture of Brian, which is not reproduced inside this booklet for some reason. I'm not sure why they didn't include that, but if you've never heard Friends, definitely check it out. It's got some great stuff on there. And then another very highly regarded album, Sunflower. Some people consider this almost on par with Pet Sounds. This was recorded in 1970. I believe it was originally going to be called Landlocked, maybe, or, you know, again, my Beach Boys history, I'm not that well educated in, but it was either Surf's Up or Sunflower is going to be called Landlocked. It doesn't matter. We're just talking about the CD. Surf's Up. So it was one of these two was going to originally be called Landlocked, but then the record company liked to meddle and interfere and had them change the name. Of course, this story about Sunflower is the original version of that was rejected, and the Beach Boys had to come back and reorder the songs, include some new songs. Surf's Up, of course, named after the Smile Surf's Up song. These have the Capital Green label, and there's a booklet inside which has got some photographs and liner notes for the tracks. This is Carl and the Passion So Tough, which back in the day was packaged with Pet Sounds as kind of a 2-for-1. This is part of a 2-for-1 with the Holland album, and it does have the bonus EP with the, it's kind of Brian's Fairy Tale, Mount Vernon and Fairway, which is interesting enough, but I don't really play it that much. I've listened to it one time through, and I think that was enough for me. Jack Riley narrates a story that Brian wrote, and there's some musical accompaniment. So just kind of very different than anything the Beach Boys had put out to that point. And I actually forgot going to be out of order. This is, I don't have the means to purchase the deluxe Smile box set. So this is the kind of the cheaper CD version. It is in a box. There's a little Smile button that comes with it. The sleeve for the CD. There's a Smile poster that comes with it. A second CD from the Smile sessions. And then an extensive booklet. If you got the vinyl version, it's a lot of what was in the vinyl version also. But I love the Smile album. I think it's brilliant, and I'm so happy that they actually put out a official release of it. I'd heard a lot of it on bootlegs before, but never in the order that Brian had intended it. So I think a lot of people just kind of back in the day had to guess what the track order would have been or how the songs would have flowed together. And that in itself was kind of a fun exercise, trying to imagine what that album would have sounded like if it had in fact come out in 1967. And then when this came out, or actually when Brian Wilson's solo version of Smile came out, it was really a revelation, because I think there were a lot of things that none of us had actually expected to hear, or the way that they flowed together was very interesting. This is a compilation. It's got some rarities on here. It's called Endless Summer, and it tied into a documentary called Endless Summer, which is available on DVD. And this is Hawthorne, California. It's a 2-disc collection of rare tracks, some instrumentals, some bonus stuff that was never on a CD or album before, and there's some interviews. It's a really enjoyable compilation to listen to. Just a kind of overview of the Beach Boys' career and hearing some things and new stereo mixes and whatnot. This is the Beach Boys, I think it's called Greatest Hits. The Greatest Hits, 20 Good Vibrations. And this is 1967, Sunshine Tomorrow. So this covers the Smiley Smile and the Wild Honey album. It's a lot of outtakes and different versions. Some are live tracks. It's the album in stereo, and the Laid in Hawaii live album, which had only been previously available on bootleg, so that's very cool to have. And it's a 2-disc set. And then the last Beach Boys thing that I have is the box set that came out in the 90s when everybody was coming out with a box set. And this is 30 Years of the Beach Boys, Good Vibrations. It is a 5-disc set, and when this came out, this is the first time that any of the Smile outtakes had been given an official release, apart from some of the tracks that had made their way onto albums like Wild Honey and Friends and 2020, even into Surf's Up. There was some Smile stuff that the Beach Boys had sprinkled out on those releases, but this was a full CD. This is the book that came with it, and it's got some history of the Beach Boys and some photographs like you would typically find in a box set during the day. This is some bonus tracks and whatnot, and then I don't think these CDs are necessarily in the order chronologically. I mean, the CDs themselves are in chronological order. I don't know in terms of the order that I'm showing you how they fall, but And so that is my Beach Boys collection. And I have another video on my Beach Boys vinyl collection. If you're interested, check that one out. And if you have any comments you'd like to share, I'd appreciate that. And thanks for watching.